Mini enthusiasts, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we're going to strip down the subframe on Project Tardis and get it ready to go away for sandblasting and powder coating. But before we get into that, again, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the new subscribers, the new Mini enthusiasts that have joined the channel. Welcome to the channel. I hope you like it. Also wanted to give a big shout out and say a special thank you to the people that support the channel through Buy Me a Beer. I really do appreciate your support. Thank you very much. And if there's anything I can do for you in the future, please let me know. But I thought what would be interesting, I've not got a great deal to waffle about in this week's video, so bear with me, it's not going to take long. I was trying to think what else I could do on the channel, and one thing that crossed my mind is I get messages from viewers, sometimes asking for help, sometimes just showing me pictures of their Mini, and there's some really interesting Minis out there amongst the people that watch this channel, you Mini enthusiasts. And I thought about maybe doing like a viewer car feature where you send me in, I don't know, a few photos, some videos, bit of a description of your car, and I'll include it in one of the weekly videos. So would that be interesting? Let me know what you think. I don't quite know how it would work. I know it's been done before on other channels, so I don't want to copy what they do, but I'm just conscious there's some interesting Minis out there. But just as a starter, what I thought would be interesting would be to drop down in the comments below if you own a classic Mini, or even, I don't know, it might be a Metro or something like that, and yeah, and you follow the channel, drop down the bottom, let me know what Mini you've got. It'd be really interesting if someone comes back and says they've got a BACM 30 or something like that. I certainly know there are people that watch the channel that own things like ERA turbos and RSPs, Cooper S Works. There are lots of interesting cars out there. So I thought it'd just be interesting to, it's almost like put a name to the face or put a car to the name, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, let me stop waffling on. Let's get into this week's video. But yeah, if you want to, drop down in the comments, let me know what your drive is.
Okay, I thought I would add a bit of narration again as I'm buzzing through the work here. So the first thing I'm doing is just going around with some penetrating oil and just spraying it on anything we're going to remove. It's quite important, as I've mentioned before, with penetrating oil to spray it on and give it 5 minutes or so to penetrate into the threads. So I've sprayed it on the radius arm mounting brackets there, and I'll give them a while before we get on to trying to undo them. In the meantime, I've just removed the central exhaust rubber block and the brake pipe and T-piece connector. We're just moving on to the rear subframe bush mounting points there, and now we can turn our attention to undoing the main radius arm nuts, which I believe are 3/4 inch. Sometimes you have to hold the inside nut while you undo the outside one. And now I've just gone straight in to removing those radius arm brackets now. They're held on with 4 1/2-inch bolts, 2 through the bottom of the subframe and 2 through the front facing forward in towards the heel board. And those threads are, 2 of them are external, so they can get corroded. The ones that go up through the bottom of the bracket into the subframe can get corroded. There are 2 that go forward into sort of the direction of the heel board. They're actually in a box section of the subframe, and there's a bit of plastic tape, like gaffer tape, that covers the cavity or hole that they sit in, and providing that that bit of tape has not been damaged, the thread should be in good condition. So I was quite fortunate on Project Tardis that the tape was still there and it was intact, and that had preserved the threads. Actually, looking inside the box section of the front part of the subframe, the bolts looked brand new, still shiny metal. just see there are removing the trumpets and suspension donuts. They can be a little bit tricky to get out like this, but obviously once the radius arm is loose you can manipulate it out a bit. Now as you can see, the radius arms I've taken out complete. I've not stripped them down at all at this stage, so later on I will clean them up, take the brakes apart. I think the brakes will be okay because I've got receipts where the brakes have been replaced because obviously they've seized up in the past. Now I'm just removing the front subframe mounts that go through the heel board. Those have rubber bushes on them, again held in by 2 long 1/2-inch bolts that are sort of self-threading, and some people struggle to get that. I'm not sure whether it's called a trunnion bolt, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the bolt with like a big washer on the outside. Some people struggle to get that out because it looks like there should be a special tool with 2 prongs in it to hold it in place while you undo the other end, but what I found is sometimes just a big pair of grips is enough to hold it. So now I'm just moving on to trying to straighten out that back part of the subframe there, and if you actually watch the video, that back part of the subframe is really weak by design. It's not strong at all, so if you pull on that part of the subframe it will just bend, which is what's happened. I actually found like a welding clamp here was really useful just for straightening it all up. And you'll notice on this subframe it has the holes in that back sort of crossbeam section where the valves would go for hydroelastic suspension. Of course that predates this car by a number of years. I'm not sure at which stage they changed that on the subframe, because certainly on my MPI Minis it doesn't have those holes there. They obviously changed that on the later cars. And as you can see me manipulating it about there, that bit is quite easy to bend back into place at the back there, and it is only tacked on at the very end, so I'll mention in a moment. I'm not overly concerned that it was a little bit bent because all the sort of geometry is done at the front of the subframe, and that's where all the strength is. Just going along with a hammer and dolly now, just tidying up the edge, getting it looking nice and straight before it goes off to be shot blasted and powder coated. And fingers crossed when it comes back it should look like new. There's not a great deal of rust on this subframe at all.
Right, so there's the subframe all stripped now. It and half a messy job. All the radius arms and that are all going to get stripped apart, refurbished. Anything I haven't ordered, actually I should have ordered, was handbrake cables for the back. Damn, another order to Mini Spares. But yeah, it's looking good. The subframe is solid. There's no areas of real concern there. This back bit, you'd have seen me there just straightening it out. Now some people might look at that and I guess I thought originally, oh God, if it's pulled that back like that, as it pulled the subframe out a square. But obviously all the mountings come out fine. All the strength, all the strength is in the front part of the subframe here, and that's where all the geometry is done. So obviously the radius arms anchor at the front here, and that does the front geometry. And in fact, if you've ever, a mod for racing mini is to fit a beam axle, which is basically just this front part without any of that rear framework. So I'm not overly worried that this was all, a bit bent up. I've bent it all back straight now. Yeah, I don't think that's going to have pulled anything out of line. I mean, you'd have to do a hell of a job to pull these in, and I think it's so strong at the front there, I don't think you would do. You'd probably, you know, probably deform the back here a little bit, but I don't think you'd do anything to change the geometry on the front. The only thing you might do, I guess, is move these, but then I didn't have any trouble getting the subframe out. So, but I would much rather keep the original subframe. So that'll go off now and be shot blasted and powder coated in gloss black, and then yeah, just reassembled with all new parts.